All right, we're about to jump into Matthew chapter 10, and this is a chapter that reads like a mission briefing for an operation that's going to change the world. This is the moment a handful of pretty ordinary people are handed an extraordinary task, complete with strategy, some really stark warnings, and incredible promises. Let's get into it.
You know, before any mission gets launched, you have to have a powerful why. And this verse right here, from the very end of chapter 9, is it. This is the motivation. This isn't about building some kind of empire. It's all about compassion. The whole mission is born from this moment of seeing a crowd that's just lost, vulnerable, and totally leaderless. That sense of urgency, that's the fuel for everything that's about to happen.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the team Jesus puts together. Then, we'll dive into their specific instructions. After that, we'll get into the tough stuff, the warnings for the road ahead, the true cost of this journey, and we'll finish up with the ultimate reward that was promised to them.
Okay, first up, the team. Because to really get the mission, you've got to understand the people who were chosen to carry it out. And believe me, this was no ordinary group of buddies.
And I want you to notice the order of events here. The very first step isn't just a call, it's an empowerment. Before he even lists all their names, Jesus gives them authority, the power to heal, the power to restore. It wasn't their own. It was delegated, given to them directly from him for the specific task at hand.
And here they are, the 12 apostles. Now that number, 12, is a huge deal. It's a deliberate echo of the 12 tribes of Israel, basically signaling that a brand new chapter in Israel's story is beginning. And just look at this list. You've got fishermen, a tax collector, and even a political radical, a zealot, whose whole deal was opposing Roman rule.
And this just nails how radical this team was. On one hand, you've got Matthew. As a tax collector, he worked for the Roman enemy. He would have been seen as a traitor. On the other hand, you have Simon the Zealot, a guy whose entire political identity was built on hating Rome and collaborators just like Matthew. I mean, these guys should have been mortal enemies, yet here they are, on the same team with the exact same mission. It's incredible.
So, this interesting team has been put together. But what in the world are they supposed to do? Let's check out their mission directives. Every team needs marching orders, and these were crystal clear.
Now, the very first instruction was about focus. He tells them, don't go to the Gentiles, the non-Jewish nations, or even the Samaritans. He says, go first to the lost sheep of Israel. Now, this wasn't about excluding everyone else forever. It was a strategic starting point. It was about showing God's faithfulness to his original promises before the mission blew wide open to the rest of the world.
And here's the crucial part. Their work was a 1-2 punch of words and actions. They had to announce that the kingdom of heaven was close, but they also had to show it. Healing the sick, raising the dead, these weren't just random magic tricks. They were signs, little previews of what life in this kingdom would actually look like. And the final instruction? Do it all for free, just like they had received it.
And get this, they were told to travel light. I mean, ridiculously light. No money, no extra travel bag, not even a spare set of clothes. The whole principle here is radical trust and dependence. They weren't supposed to get rich off the message. They were supposed to trust that the people who welcomed that message would take care of their basic needs.
Okay, so they have their team, they have their instructions, but this is where the briefing takes a pretty sharp and kind of dark turn. This next part is all about the harsh reality they are about to walk into.
Wow. The imagery here could not be more intense. They are sheep, totally vulnerable, basically defenseless, being sent straight into a pack of wolves. The danger isn't just a possibility, it's a guarantee. And their response has to be this really unique mix of shrewdness and absolute purity.
So let's break that down because it's a fascinating combination. Wise as serpents means you got to be smart, you got to be aware of the dangers around you. But that wisdom has to be balanced by being innocent as doves. That means your motives, your character have to stay pure and blameless. It's this incredible call to be both street smart and heart pure at the exact same time.
And the warnings, they get even more specific. This isn't some vague you might run into trouble. No, this is detailed opposition. He tells them to expect it from the religious authorities, from political rulers, and maybe most painfully, from inside their own families. The prediction is just blunt. You will be hated by all.
Which leads us straight into the fourth part of this briefing, the true cost of saying yes to this mission. It's one thing to hear that persecution is coming. It's a whole other thing to understand what that will demand from you personally.
This is one of the most jarring things Jesus says in this whole chapter. A sword? Hold on, isn't this supposed to be a message of peace? The point isn't that the message is violent. The point is that the effect of the message will be incredibly divisive. Its truth is going to draw a line in the sand, and people will have to pick a side, even if it means cutting through the closest family bonds.
And then he says this. Now for us, the cross is a familiar religious symbol. But for them, listening in that moment, the cross was an instrument of Roman torture and public execution. It was a symbol of absolute shame, suffering, and death. So what Jesus is asking for is a willingness to follow him no matter what it costs, even if it leads to public execution.
So just to be perfectly clear, taking up your cross isn't just about putting up with a tough day. It means total surrender. It means a radical obedience that says no to your own self-interest and puts the mission above your own comfort, your reputation, and even your own life.
But right after that incredibly heavy warning, Jesus does something amazing. He pivots to profound comfort. He tells them, hey, think about the sparrows, the cheapest birds you can buy in the market. Not a single one of them is outside of God's notice.
And just to put that in perspective, a sparrow was worth about 1/16 of what a worker made in a whole day. I mean, it was almost worthless in money terms. The logic here is so simple and so powerful. If God cares intimately for something of such little value, how much more does he care for you? You are infinitely more valuable.
And that brings us to our final section, the reward. Because after talking about the incredible cost, we get to the high stakes, not just for the messengers, but for every single person who hears their message.
Right here, Jesus sets up this incredible chain of representation. The apostles are his ambassadors. So to welcome them and their message is to welcome Jesus himself. And to welcome Jesus is to welcome God the Father who sent him. The stakes for anyone listening are, well, they're ultimate.
And the reward for supporting these messengers is just as certain. What's so beautiful is that it doesn't have to be some grand gesture. Even the smallest, simplest act of hospitality, something as basic as giving a cup of cold water to one of his followers, just because they're his follower, has eternal meaning. No act of kindness that supports this mission ever goes unnoticed.
And so this entire commissioning journey, this whole mission briefing, ends with a question that echoes all the way down to us today. The message is still going out through messengers, which means the question isn't just for that audience back in the first century, it's for us, right here, right now. If receiving the messenger is the same as receiving God, what is your response?